You probably visualize me right now up there in heaven at the feet of Jesus. You know the pictures from that book given to you by slaveholders designed to keep you from fighting for your rightful place among human society. It tells you to love your enemy and obey your earthly masters with fear and trembling, and you will be rewarded in the afterlife, the kingdom of heaven. Trust me, the afterlife is not better than real life above ground with family and friends. Did you ever stop to ask yourself why they gave you that book? Or why they want you to believe that freedom after life is better than freedom during life? Was it for your benefit or theirs? Can you think of anything slaveholders gave slaves that was for the benefit of the slaves? I know you probably don't want to hear this now, so for now, let's suspend disbelief so I can tell you what I've learned since I joined the ancestors. Me, like most other miseducated black folks, I was brought up to be a good Christian. And of course, like any good Christian, the first thing I did when I got here was to look for Jesus. And yeah, I did meet with Jesus, but I didn't recognize him at first because he don't look nothing like his pictures. He looked more like young Jeezy. He said he wanted to talk to me and give me some information because he was tired of people using his name to subjugate others for their own personal benefit. He told me the Bible was not written by God, but originally was written by some self-serving Jews to promote their mythology as the Word of God and the false notion that they are God's chosen people. He said those people are no closer to God than any other people. He said there are thousands of creation stories, and every people who live near water have a flood story. They're just stories. And the stories in the Bible are not even original. Many of them are the same stories written in the Book of Dead many years earlier. Then he said we can continue this conversation later, but I need to get with some old school revolutionaries that he told me would help me put things in perspective. On May 20th, 2013, the soul of an elder from Miami arrived. His name was Charlie B. He was a longtime activist with the International African Movement. He said he had some information for me regarding the efforts to get justice for me and my family after my death. First, he explained to me the long history of strong brothers and sisters with the greatest degree of integrity. But before he can continue, Malcolm X interrupted to agree and told me that unfortunately we also have a long history of house Negroes always present to subvert our struggle for progress. Those with the crippled souls, always looking to pull others down to make themselves appear higher. Gabriel Presser, Denmark Vesey, and Nat Turner were also there to verify that unfortunate side of our history. I learned from Charlie B. that when my parents and their supporters were desperate for help after, they were naive and uninformed, so they turned to untrustworthy preachers and inept politicians for help. They went to Bishop Victor T. Curry of the National Action Network in Miami, who was once asked if he went to the Million Man March. And he answered no, because I don't want to have to explain to somebody one day about why I was there. They also brought in Al Sharpton from New York. And when Al Sharpton's name was mentioned, another brother from New York named Sonny Carson stood up and told us that Al Sharpton had been an FBI informant and once participated in a sting to set up Don King, and also took part in an effort with the FBI to apprehend Assata Shakur before she defected to Cuba. Al Sharpton represents a new breed of celebrity activists. They make a lot of noise on TV to no effect because they're totally bought and paid for. My supporters were also deceived by the antics of Congresswoman Frederica Wilson, who stood with supporters in Miami and pledged her support in sharp contrast to earlier when she stood on the House floor and voted in support of the Stand Your Ground law without reading it first. She also claimed that she did not understand it. Since when is being stupid and lazy an excuse? Another key player in this tragedy was Reverend Walter T. Richardson, who recently left his church in disgrace after 26 years as pastor due to his alleged involvement in a homosexual sex scandal. He also was Miami-Dade police chaplain and chairman of the Miami-Dade County's Community Relations Board. I looked over and saw Kwame Ture shaking his head in disgust. How this group of House Negroes conspired to deny justice for my family and supporters was criminal. According to Charlie B., they were presented with a detailed plan how to achieve justice, which involved everyone working together, including the Black Panthers and the Nation of Islam. This strategy was rejected outright because they were already collaborating with the police to ensure the voices of Muslims, Panthers, and any other black people who were not sellouts would never be heard, all but guaranteeing there would never be justice in this case. For show, they organized prayer vigils and rallies, but the police provided security and had final say on all speakers and content. Oh, and let's not forget, they also held hands singing, "We Shall Overcome." Huey Newton laughed and said, "That's not a strategy that could ever achieve justice. It's not even a strategy. It's just noise before failure. Nobody ever got justice by singing and praying. People only give justice when they fear the alternative." Al Sharpton and the others gave supporters false hope that they were working and fighting for justice, but in reality they were working for the police to preserve the American tradition that blacks have no rights, whites are bound to respect. I looked behind me and I could see the disappointment in the eyes of Brother Dred Scott, and Emmett Till was in tears.